hide your kids, wives, and also knives. Aaron Donald is back in the building, and it all started with this initial video. It's not really where it started, but this is where people really started to believe that the once dominant force, a man who terrorized quarterbacks and offensive linemen alike, will be actually returning to not just a Rams team. So it'll be different if, this was a player returning back. He just has the itch for football. Oh, no, this is a Rams team that is really poised to go.
Donald return? Browns fans go wild as Myles Garrett rumors intensify. Cleveland didn't lose a football player in June. Cleveland lost its identity. And now 400 miles away, that same identity might be about to get a partner nobody saw coming. Because right now, in a practice facility in Woodland Hills, California, a 35-year-old man who hasn't played a down of professional football in 2 years is running ladder drills, sweating through medicine ball throws, getting gassed on purpose. And every time someone posts a 10-second clip of it, an entire fan base 4 states away feels something twist in their stomach. This is the story of how one trade cracked open a wound that never fully healed, and how the ghost of the greatest defensive tackle of his generation might be about to make that wound so much worse. Let's rewind, because you need to understand what Cleveland actually lost before you understand why this is hurting so much right now. For 8 years, Myles Garrett wasn't just a Brown, he was the Browns. Through years of losing seasons, quarterback carousels, and front office chaos, Garrett was the one constant fans could point to and say, at least we have him. He signed a 4-year extension worth $160 million. He had a no-trade clause. He publicly said more than once that he wanted to retire in Cleveland and bring a championship to a city that had waited generations for one. General manager Andrew Berry insisted all off-season that trading Garrett would be, in his words, a waste of breath even discussing. And then it happened anyway. On June 1st, the Browns sent their franchise cornerstone, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, to the Los Angeles Rams. In return, Cleveland got Jared Verse and a stack of future draft capital. Garrett posted his goodbye on social media, thanking the city for shaping him, telling fans the best days of the franchise were still ahead. It read like a eulogy, because for a lot of Browns fans, that's exactly what it felt like.
Okay, and head coach always be closing, right? I like with that from the head coach. But before we go into this quick little timeline and I kind of explain how we do things, I want to warn you right now, it all starts with Myles Garrett. I know Myles Garrett seems like just a little cherry on top that might have sparked up Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going to prove to you that the reason Aaron Donald is going to unretire, because I'm saying it right now, Aaron Donald is unretiring. Wrap the NFC up.
Here's the part that stings even more. This wasn't some team trying to steal a star out of desperation. This was the Rams, a franchise already loaded with the reigning MVP at quarterback, already building around Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, already the popular pick for a deep playoff run, and now adding the single best pass rusher on the planet. Overnight, the Rams didn't just get better, they became terrifying. And that should have been the whole story, a brutal blockbuster trade, the kind that reshapes a division and breaks a fan base's heart in the same news cycle. But then, a video surfaced, and that video changed everything. It's grainy, shot from a distance, the kind of footage TMZ specializes in. A man in workout gear, moving through drills on a practice field in Woodland Hills. Ladder work, agility cones, medicine ball throws that look far too explosive for someone who's supposedly been retired since 2024. The eyewitness on scene said he pushed himself until he was completely spent. The man in the video is Aaron Donald, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time All-Pro, a Super Bowl ring earned by closing out the biggest game of his career on 4th and 1, driving through double teams like they weren't there.
Sacks, admonishing the greatness of Myles Garrett, and then you have Myles Garrett. This is June 19th now. 20 days into the trade. Myles Garrett, what do you have to say about Aaron Donald returning?
He looks up, it's like, I might need another one. And he's like, MG, you want to run it? Sure, why not? I mean, where was the Super Bowl last time he won it?
I'm not gonna connect no more dots for y'all. All right.
That's the player Browns fans are now being asked to imagine lining up next to Myles Garrett. And it's not just speculation floating around message boards anymore. Insiders are starting to say the quiet part out loud. Adam Schefter went on the Pat McAfee show and laid out exactly what that workout was really about. According to Schefter, Donald told the Rams he wanted to get back in pads, see how his body reacted, see how it made him feel before making any kind of decision. That's not a man doing a nostalgic favor for old teammates. That's a man testing the waters. Pat McAfee didn't hide his excitement either, floating a scenario where Donald comes back in a reduced role, maybe 12 to 15 snaps a game, deployed like a surgical strike weapon, alongside Garrett drawing double and triple teams on the edge. Think about that combination for a second. Offensive lines already can't handle Garrett one-on-one. Add Donald collapsing the pocket from the interior, and there is functionally nowhere left to hide. And this is where Browns fans start to feel something more complicated than sadness, something closer to dread. Because if Aaron Donald unretires, he's not walking into a rebuilding situation. He's walking into a Super Bowl contender that just got significantly scarier in the same city where that Super Bowl is being played this season. The stars aligning that perfectly doesn't happen by accident in the NFL. It happens because everyone involved can see exactly what's at stake. So how did we get from a trade to an unretirement rumor to what now feels like an inevitability? The timeline matters here because none of this happened in a vacuum. It started small, almost forgettable. Donald, speaking publicly a while back, was asked about Garrett's performance in a tough season for Cleveland. 5 sacks, a forced fumble, a defense fighting an uphill battle. Donald's answer wasn't just polite respect, it was the kind of praise one elite competitor saves for another. He talked about effort, about doing your part even when the result isn't there. At the time, it read like nothing more than mutual admiration between two greats of the position. Then came the trade, and almost immediately the tone shifted. Garrett himself started dropping hints, half joking about Donald wanting one more run at it, wondering out loud where exactly Donald's last Super Bowl actually happened. Subtle, but not subtle enough, because football fans notice everything.
NFL sources, what do they think about Aaron Donald's potential return? So we got Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show. Just going to have the audio because I don't want to play with ESPN's pocketbooks, but let's hear what he has to say about
Myles Garrett for the Los Angeles Rams with the Super Bowl in LA with the returning MVP as quarterback on the other side.
That's exactly what it was. He told the team that he wanted to go there, work out, see how he felt, see how he reacted, see everything that went along with being back in pads on the football.
Then Garrett moved into his new city and did what every athlete over a certain age apparently cannot help but do. He posted about it, unpacking, settling in, and then, almost too perfectly timed, a photo of a signed Aaron Donald jersey. No caption needed. Fans connected the dots instantly because there weren't many dots left to connect. And then the actual workout happened, the one everyone's talking about now, the one that turns speculation into something that feels a whole lot closer to confirmation. Rams head coach Sean McVay hasn't slammed the door shut either. When asked directly about the possibility, McVay didn't dodge. He talked about staying close with Donald, about the respect Donald has for Garrett, about how if Donald decided to dust off the cleats at 35, he'd still be playing in an incredibly high level. That's not a coach politely deflecting a question he wants to go away. That's a coach who sounds like he's already planning for it. For Browns fans, every piece of this hurts in a slightly different way. There's the football pain, obvious and immediate, watching the best pass rusher in franchise history not just leave, but potentially join forces with a Hall of Fame caliber interior lineman on arrival with championship aspirations. That's not just losing a player. That's watching the exact nightmare scenario play out on national television over and over for an entire season. There's the emotional pain too, the kind that's harder to put into words. Garrett wasn't supposed to be a rental. He was supposed to be Cleveland's version of loyalty rewarded, a superstar who stayed through the losing years and got to celebrate the winning ones at home. That version of the story is gone now, and watching him potentially recruit a legend to go win a title somewhere else, in the city where that title will actually be decided, feels less like moving on and more like watching someone else write the ending you were promised. And then there's the part that stings in a completely different way. Some fans have started reframing the whole thing, wondering if maybe this is actually good news buried under the heartbreak. If the front office read the roster accurately, if this return brought back real draft capital and long-term flexibility, maybe the pain of losing Garrett becomes the first step toward building something sustainable instead of chasing one era forever. It's a small comfort, but in Cleveland, fans have learned to take whatever comfort they can find.
So I want to talk about this as we wrap a few things up, right? And that's all but confirmed, right? You have Adam Schefter saying, I believe it's going to happen. You have Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's not good at keeping secrets. Sorry, Pat. But you saying that, oh, I'm sure too, that lets me know someone's told Pat McAfee something, right? I'm sure Adam Schefter has been told something, but because he's he's an insider, he has to act like he don't know. He's I'd guess, right? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that to me just tells me.
Because here's what nobody's really talking about enough. This isn't really about Aaron Donald anymore. It's about what his potential return represents. It's proof that when a superstar leaves Cleveland, other superstars follow, drawn by the idea of playing somewhere the stakes already feel bigger. That's the part that should worry this front office more than any single loss on the schedule. So where does this actually go from here? Nothing is official. Donald hasn't made a final decision, at least not one he said out loud. Reports suggest he wants to commit fully or not at all. No half measures, no cameo appearances just for the highlight reel. That's who he's always been. If he comes back to dominate, not to coast on name recognition. But every signal, every workout, every cryptic social media post, every insider report is pointing in the same direction. And in a league where smoke almost always turns into fire eventually, Browns fans have learned to trust the pattern more than the denials. If it happens, if Aaron Donald really does put the pads back on and lines up next to Myles Garrett in that Rams uniform, it won't just be a football story. It'll be the moment an entire fan base has to sit with the reality that the player they built their identity around is now trying to build a new legacy somewhere else with reinforcements nobody saw coming. And that's the thing about heartbreak in sports. It doesn't just happen once in one trade announcement and then fade quietly into the background. Sometimes it keeps building, piece by piece, workout video by workout video, until the thing you were afraid of finally becomes official. Cleveland is watching closely right now because they already know how this story tends to end. They've lived it before. If this storyline has you on edge the way it has everyone else in the league, make sure you're subscribed because this is only going to escalate from here, and you're going to want to see exactly how it plays out. Whatever Aaron Donald decides, one thing is already certain. The wound that Myles Garrett's trade opened in Cleveland isn't closing anytime soon. If anything, it's about to get a whole lot deeper.